Titus Naikuni is a man of two worlds. On one hand, he's the no-nonsense Harvard decorated chief executive of a groundbreaking international airline, leading the way in bringing world-class travel to more and more African destinations. On the other, he is surprisingly uncomplicated. In fact, who would have guessed that this would be his goal when he eventually retires from Kenya Airways?
The key thing that I envisioned in my sort of dream is to go home into the village, which I'll show you my village. Just relax, travel a lot. Maybe I could end up even teaching the local secondary school.
The village, a place he loves and calls home. It is from these humble beginnings that one of Kenya's most sought-after CEOs rose.
Rome wasn't built in a day. A lot of the young people that I see now get into work and they want to within 3 years they're at the top there. You'll come down falling very fast because you will not have gained the relevant experience. Try and learn as much as you can within the organization itself. Take a bit of time as you mature also.
He speaks from experience here at his Kiserian home, where he and his wife welcome our crew. Naikuni recounts how he began his rise to the top on a high school trip that set him up for his future.
We once were taken to a school trip in Form 2 to Magadi Soda. And while we were there, I remember looking at the factory, and there was a Mzungu who was standing outside the offices. And he was in white regalia, white shorts, and he had stockings there and a pen stuck in the stockings. So I turned around to the teacher who took us, as a lady called Mrs. Alash. And I asked her, what do I need to run this factory? The size, the complexity, I mean, as to a Form 2 student, you see a factory, all the machinery working and everything, everything seems to be working according to plan. I liked the beauty of the cleanness of the town. And the fact that it's in the rural areas, I enjoyed it.
His mind was set, and years later, it would be realized.
And for 2 years, they trained me as an engineer. And then after that, I moved on into a managerial role. And they moved me from section to section. So I went around nearly all the sections in the company. My aim at the time was, look, one day I will be the CEO of this company. And if I say to one of the CEOs there, I said, look, I want your job.
Years later, tragedy robbed him of his boss and provided him with a job that he had spent years working to get.
And I'd called him and said, look, I'd like to go home because I haven't been home for quite some time. Could I leave on Friday evening while you're coming? And he said, yeah, sure. So I drove, and he was driving down with his wife on the Magadi Road. And we met, and he did the lights like this to me, shone the lights for me to somewhere. I didn't stop. I didn't want to discuss work. I just wanted to go home. 20 minutes after that, they had an accident, and both died.
The UK office would later call him and confirm his appointment as Magadi Soda Managing Director. In 1999, Naikuni became part of Kenya's World Bank-sponsored Dream Team, an elite group of technocrats charged with reviving the Kenyan economy, which was then in shambles. Naikuni had made an impression while at Magadi Soda, and Richard Leakey, the then powerful KWS director, telephoned.
So I went to his office, and he opened his drawer, he removed a letter, and he said, now, this letter is between you and me, okay? Just read it. And so I read, it was a letter signed by President Moi, saying to whom it may concern, Richard Leakey is my emissary, blah, 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 whatever he discusses with you, please, it's for the interest of this country and support it.
Others who were called on included Martin Oduor-Otieno, Mwagazi Machofi, and Professor Wilfred Mwangi. And they would have some success. But Naikuni was on loan from Magadi Soda, and they wanted him back after 2 years. He returned, but not for long. Kenya Airways came calling.
The airline came back to me and said, come over and we want you back in the airline. So I said, look, give it a shot, try. It's a new area, different from mining Muchanga in Magadi, and go into the airline.
His stay at Kenya Airways has been a time of great profitability. The company last month posted 73.9% increase in its profit after tax for the financial year ended March 31st, recording an impressive 3.5 billion shillings during that period. But at the same time, his term has been dotted by airline staff strikes, one as recent as on the eve of this interview a week ago.
We're an industry that is very dependent on people. And then the other thing is we're a service industry that if you do not provide the service, then it is seen.
And it is at this point that I ask him about his management style.
I'm very strict, especially on ethical issues. Turning around business is not a wedding. And I got married some years back, so I'm not looking for a wife.
Speaking of marriage, he mentions his wife of 30 years frequently throughout our interview. It is clear how pivotal a role she has played in his success.
With all my work that entailed a lot of traveling, she's really been the one in charge of the children. And I really admire how much she has done in terms of looking after the children. She has helped me to make sure that I'm comfortable at home while I'm busy at work. Yeah.